Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome into episode 8 of Loyal Media Sports Podcast. How's it going, Ali?
I'm good. How are you, man?
It's going well. Finally back. We cannot give you guys an episode last week because I had no power. Ali had no power. So now we're finally back and talking about Jets football. Today was the first day of training camp. They had helmets on, no pads. Pads come next week. So we got a lot of things in store for this podcast. We got injury updates, some Jamal Adams, Greg Williams drama, and a lot of good stuff. So, Ali, what are your thoughts on this training camp? So how does it feel that Jets football is finally back?
I mean, football is back, but the injuries are back as well for the New York Jets. I mean, every year we get hit by a lot of injuries, and again this year. So the list goes on. Denzel Mims already a rookie. We're all excited to see him. Hamstring injury. Pierre this year, a free agent, hamstring injury. Frank Gore, hamstring injury. And those are the main guys that are hurt, but you want to see those guys on the field, and with the guys with not seeing Sam Darnold and Adam Gase, and coming in as new guys, especially Denzel Mims, he's a rookie. He's going to have very, very little time to understand this offense. And from what we want is we want wide receiver production, and we want to see him comfortable in this offense. And it's going to be hard to do that if he's on the field. But hopefully Denzel Mims will be out for a couple of days. That's what the report is saying. It's very minor. So that's a good thing for the Jets.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how there's so many hamstring injuries. It's like Frank Gore, Pierre Desir, and Denzel Mims all have the same injury. Hopefully they're really mild strains because hamstring can go either way. It can go really well and they're back in a couple of days, or it lingers on for weeks. And for Denzel Mims in particular, it's really a big blow just because this is a very unusual time for football. He didn't have any rookie walkthroughs, OTAs, spring ball, none of that. And this is the first day of Jets training camp, and it's less than a month until week 1. No preseason. So this is going to be really weird. It's going to be a huge rush, and every single rep counts for these guys, especially the rookies. So for Denzel Mims to stretch out his hamstring, hopefully he'll only be out for a couple of days and he can come back next week and get ready because he has a lot in store to learn the playbook, his routes, all these different stuff. But yeah, that's the injury update. Let's go into the positives of training camp. So a lot of reporters, they were live tweeting. We got Connor Hughes, Rich Jamini. They were on the sidelines, and a lot of them said the same thing, that Mekhi Becton looked like an absolute huge monster, and they've never seen a football player that big. And they say he's in incredible shape, and that he just looks like has a presence to him. And there was also a tweet that Connor Hughes said that, he was live tweeting what's going on in practice. Quinn Williams beat Mekhi Becton and tackled Le'Veon Bell for a loss, and Quinn Williams had like a really quick burst. So that's a cool little thing we got to see. A lot of Jets fans were worried, like, do we like this or not? Mekhi Becton got beat, but Quinn Williams is a beast. You can't read too much into practice. People are going to get beat, and Mekhi Becton is going to have a lot of ups and downs this rookie season, especially like I just mentioned of this whole training camp situation. Didn't even have the traditional transition from college to the NFL. So Mekhi Becton is going to have some growing pains, and that's okay. But it's good to see that Quinn Williams is making his presence known. 2 former first-round picks back-to-back years in the trenches, or they're going to be battling in practice for like the next 5-10 years if these 2 players are on the team for that long. And I'm excited. I think Quinn Williams is going to really prove a lot of people wrong because he looks like he's in hell of a shape too. There's a lot of players that are coming into training camp in crazy shape. Guys like Le'Veon Bell, it looks amazing. He's the talk of the topic. We got Bless Austin, who looks like he has muscles on muscles. Like, he looks absolutely ripped out of his mind. So training camp's back. Jets football's back. We got Jets training camp live this morning, was awesome. So it's just good to see that Jets football is back and the reporters are live. So it brings back life. This world got turned upside down in 2020. So it's good to see everything back. So Ali, I want to ask you this. Who are some of your training camp sleepers? Not really necessarily who's going to be excellent throughout the season, but who do you think will shine in training camp?
I mean, one guy, obviously people are going to be like, oh, he's injured right now. Denzel Mims. The Jets wide receiver position is very thin, because we don't know exactly how they're going to produce. There's a lot of unproven guys on this team, guys that came off of injuries, and guys are just complete question marks. So Denzel Mims is a guy that people are relying, maybe we have production in him every game. We'll have like a consistent guy. And, Denzel Mims, when I met him last week, he said very highly on his teammates. He said very highly on Sam Darnold. He even said that I asked him, I was like, how's Sam Darnold? How was practicing with Sam Darnold? And he was like, I mean, he effortlessly throws that ball. I mean, it doesn't even look like he tries and it goes 60 yards. Like, that's what Sam Darnold is. It's amazing how he can throw. And Frank Gore said the same thing. And, Frank Gore has been with multiple quarterbacks in his career. And just seeing that about Sam Darnold, that's amazing. And, Sam Darnold and Denzel Mims might be getting that connection, that wide receiver 1, QB1 connection. And I think it's all eyes on Sam Darnold, but it's going to be Denzel Mims to see if he can be the number 1 guy. And I think he has the most pressure. On defensive side, it's Quinn Williams. We want to see him making those plays on the field. We want him, Connor Hughes, all these guys to be tweeting out that Quinn Williams made this play. Quinn Williams did that, because Jets fans are kind of questionable about him right now. And we know that he's been working out. He feels great. And Quinn Williams could be the guy that could transition into the season, even with the good training camp. So those are two of the guys, my top guys that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Denzel Mims and Quinn Williams have really bright futures, in my opinion, with the Jets. So it's going to be excited to see what they do in training camp. I'm going to go with some low-key players that, unfortunately, I was looking forward to see them play in preseason, because these are the guys where we don't know if they're going to make the roster. They're kind of like on the bubble. Lawrence Cager, wide receiver. I think this wide receiving corps is so not deep, and there's like not a lot of names. And now that we have injuries, I think Lawrence Cager can really shine and really prove himself that he deserves to be in the NFL. He's an undrafted rookie out of Georgia, and he's a 6'5", really physical, tall receiver that this Jets team has missed out on. I mean, Denzel Mims is that type of player, but the Jets have not had their own big physical guy where you can throw the ball up into the end zone and go up and get it. And Lawrence Cager also has a connection with Sam Darnold. They were friends off the field going into college. So I feel like that's a good connection. I want to see Lawrence Cager develop in training camp, and I really hope he makes the roster. So that's a sleeper of mine in training camp. On the defensive side of the ball, I want to see guys like Ashton Davis. He has a lot of potential, and especially with Jamal Adams gone and with bringing Bradley McDougald in, he's going to get used. We know Greg Williams. Greg Williams said that Jamal Adams is going to get bored over there in Seattle because they don't use the safeties over there like Greg Williams does. He's really creative with it. He puts safeties everywhere. And now that they have 3 solid safeties, he's going to maneuver them all over the field. And all 3 of them, Marcus May, Bradley McDougald, and Ashton Davis, are so versatile where you can line them up all over the field, whether it's in the slot, box safety, deep safety, anywhere. So I'm really excited to see what really Greg Williams does with Ashton Davis. And another guy that I'm looking at training camp is definitely Bless Austin. Like I mentioned earlier, he came in incredible shape, and he's coming off his rookie season where he didn't even go through training camp last year because he was injured all throughout the offseason. Carrying over into the season, he was injured. So this is his first full offseason being healthy, and I think Bless Austin definitely has a chance to really take that next step and solidify himself as his cornerback 2, because that cornerback 2 spot's wide open. Pierre Desir probably be our CB1 this season, and that CB2 spot's wide open. We got guys like Quincy Wilson, rookie Bryce Hall, who unfortunately is not in training camp because he's on the COVID reserve list, and Arthur Millette, Brian Poole. So there's a lot of names, but I'm looking at Bless Austin. I think that he really has potential to take that next step and develop into a future cornerback for this Jets team in the future. So another position group I want to talk about is the offensive line. So all different names across the board. Connor McGovern got interviewed, and he said that they have a group chat together. They're very close. He's never been around an offensive line group that's this close. He compared it to like in Denver, they were kind of cliquey on offense. Wide receivers are friends, offensive line are friends. But Connor McGovern said it's a very healthy and open relationship with the whole offense. And they have their own group chat in the offensive line, and they send memes to each other. And it feels like they really have a chemistry brewing. And that's really important, especially with the way this offseason is. They don't have normal practices, and this is their first time being together. There's no preseason for them to even see what it's like to be on the field together. And it's completely brand new 5 starters. And last year, we had completely different players. Last year in 2019, we had guys like Kelvin Beachum at left tackle. Who's that left guard? Kalichi Osemele, Ryan Cleo at center, and Brian Winters at right guard, and then Brandon Shell at right tackle. That, looking at that, is like, wow, that was really bad. No wonder why we suck. And now we have a completely revamped O-line. All 5 new players: Mekhi Becton at left tackle, Alex Lewis at left guard, Connor McGovern at center, Greg Van Roten at right guard, and George Fant at right tackle. So I'm really excited to see what this offensive line can do together, because obviously, like I just said, it's a revamped, it's completely new. We finally see what Joe Douglas can do. He got his fingers on the offensive line, and this is just the beginning of the offensive line revamp, and I'm really excited for the future. So what are your projections for the offensive line? Do you think that this offseason is going to really make this offensive line really shaky at first? Do you think they can hit the ground ball running right away? Like, what are your expectations for this O-line?
Definitely better than what we saw last year. 100% much better, I think. I think it's just hard to say anything right now, especially the expectations. Like, regarding expectation for the offensive line, obviously we're going to expect it to be much better than last year. But obviously, if it does bad, we're just going to have the concerns, because of COVID, they weren't able to be together, a completely different offensive line, fine. But there's a lot of guys that can, a center position that's much better. You got Mekhi Becton, a rookie that's jacked, and then you got other guys that came in. You got Alex Lewis, who's coming back, who we know he's a solid guy to be in the roster. And Gase even talked about the Jets offensive line today. He was just like, we look a lot bigger than last year. That's what he said. And it is true. If you look at the offensive line, everyone's huge. It's
Even
just
George
crazy.
Fant. George Fant's huge.
I mean, like, everyone is doing, that's what offensive line looks like. We had crap last couple of years, like absolute crap for Sam Darnold, and that's not going to work out. Every rookie quarterback from his class that I saw had a good offensive lines, and Sam Darnold did not have that. And maybe this year could change that a little bit and help him and Le'Veon Bell, who pretty much said Le'Veon Bell is pretty much like, oh yeah, I'm going to have a great year this year, the best year of my life. And, to get that as offensive line. And, my expectation for the offensive line is very high, but compared to the other years. But the understanding that people need to understand is they didn't have the communication like other teams have had in the future. It's been a weird offseason for everyone. And hopefully in the 4 weeks before Buffalo, they can get everything together. And hopefully, like they said, Connor McGovern said, they're close. Hopefully they are.
I agree. I think that this offensive line will be way better in run blocking than pass blocking this year, because pass blocking is way harder to get chemistry. That's when you have to call out guys and really like pick up blitzers. But when it comes to running attack, and especially guys like Mekhi Becton, he's more of a run blocking tackle than a pass blocking tackle. So I'm expecting Le'Veon Bell. I think this is going to be a run first offense right out the gate, especially with Le'Veon Bell in such incredible shape. And hopefully Frank Gore can get healthy and have him running up the middle, getting a couple of yards for us, and then even rookie LaMichael Pirine. So I think this offensive line is going to be more dominant in the run game than pass game. That does make me a little worried for Sam Darnold, because obviously we need that pass protection for Sam. But I think that the running attack is going to be really borderline dominant. I mean, looking at how big these guys are, it's hard for them not to be. Looking at the guys across the board last year, it's like Brandon Shell and Kelvin Beachum at both tackles, comparing them to Mekhi Becton and George Fant. Those two are athletic, big dudes. Kelvin Beachum and Brandon Shell, they were like older, like just stale. They were nothing. Like they were like supposed to be pass first, but they didn't even do that. And they were terrible in the run game. So I'm excited to see that. So going into what happened with the whole Greg Williams and Jamal Adams situation. So basically Greg Williams got asked about the whole Jamal Adams situation and what you expect to do with your defense with no Jamal Adams. And he said nothing but great things about Jamal. He said, he's a hell of a player, great player, wish nothing but the best for him. And then, of course, he had to throw, and he's like, yeah, I think you might get bored over there in Seattle because they don't use the safeties like we do. And obviously all the media took that quote and put it all over Twitter, all over ESPN, and made it a huge headline. So then they asked Pete Carroll over in Seattle, and then Pete Carroll had to come back, and he said something along the lines of, we don't make as many mistakes as you do. But Pete Carroll said it in a very joking manner. It wasn't serious, but of course the media is going to take the quote and just put it out there so it comes out of context where it looks like they're just beefing when they're really not. It's just a very friendly little thing. And then Adam Gase got asked about it today. He completely shut it down. He's like, I'm not getting into that. Like, which is smart from Adam Gase. And another thing I want to talk about is Adam Gase and Le'Veon Bell press conference. So Adam Gase was asked about how he used Le'Veon Bell, and he took ownership. He said, you know what? I don't think I really utilized Le'Veon Bell to his maximum potential. I gave him the ball too much early on, and he took too many hits. And this year is going to be completely different. And then Le'Veon Bell got asked the same question, and he didn't point any fingers to anybody else but himself. He said, I wasn't at my top mentally. I wasn't there physically. I think this year I feel completely better. And Le'Veon Bell says that his best football is ahead of him. So, man, like, Le'Veon Bell makes you want to, like, the way he's hyping us up in the media and his presence, his energy, his positivity, his optimism, everything about Le'Veon Bell, you cannot ask for a better leader. He better have a captain on his chest right when opening day starts. I think this running attack is going to be lethal this year. I really hope so.
I feel like Jamal Adams is not leaving us alone, man. I mean, this stuff is going to go on forever and ever until week 14. You know, week 14 is going to be the game that everyone watches. Not even Jeff fans and Seahawks fans. People are going to watch that because of how much that means to both teams. Jamal Adams there. Now the Greg Williams, Pete Carroll thing now. And it's just so much drama now. And I feel like people are overlooking this. Obviously, Greg Williams, if you saw the full interview, Greg Williams was joking. And a lot of some reporters said that he was joking. You know, everyone knows. But, like, when Pete Carroll said something about Greg Williams, you know, losing stuff, I forgot what it was about. I'm like, didn't you not run the football with Marshawn Lynch at the 1 yard line? That was a mistake. Like, you've done mistakes, so don't throw Greg Williams out like that because, you know, but I guess it's all joking right now. But this didn't have to go this far. I mean, it's the off season. The Jets are always in the news in the off season. It just keeps there's a new story every week about them, about something. This is how the podcast is going. We have a story every week to talk about. That's why we keep going. And like other podcasts, like I go to the Browns and they got nothing to talk about right now, but the Jets always got something to talk about, even during a pandemic. So, and, you know, that's tells you a lot about this team, man.
Exactly.
I mean, it's always a roller coaster, but I wouldn't take that into consideration as much. But week 14 is going to be a game that every Jet fan should circle. I think every Jet fans already has circled that. But everyone should circle that week because that's going to be a very intense game. And, again, like you said, Le'Veon Bell praise. A quick story, when I was at Denzel Mims last week, Le'Veon Bell walked in when we were about to leave, when we were packing up. And, you know, he just said hi, hello, and stuff. That's about it. But, man, he looked jacked. He looked absolutely jacked. And a person from my fan page, yesterday or today, he sent me a picture. We can put it on the screen. And he posted a picture with Le'Veon Bell. He went to where he was boxing and stuff and training, and he took a picture with him. And, I mean, he looks absolutely, like, huge. I'm excited to see him this year. I mean, yeah, it just looks – I'm so excited when I saw that. I was like, let's go. Let's go. When he just posted a video with the New York Jets, and he's like, let's go. It's going to be crazy this year or something like that. I got pumped. I don't know. Like, that's when my fandom and my reporting gets a little bit weird because I'm like, my fandom is just like, yes, football. And then for the reporting, it's just like, whatever. But, like, I'm excited. Le'Veon Bell deserves the captain badge. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's been a leader since he got here. He's been quiet. And, you know, every Jet fan loves him right now. And, you know, even with Adam Gase praising him, saying that I made a mistake, hopefully he can learn from that mistake. And, you know, when we were talking about the offensive line and how there's going to be holes and stuff, and it's going to be, like you said, the run-first offense, maybe Adam Gase can finally figure that out and give him the freaking ball because that's what we're going to have. That's how we're going to win the game is we're going to run the ball. Don't put too much pressure on Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold will make plays for you, but he can't make plays every play on offense. So you got to spread out the ball, and hopefully it is a run-first offense because when we had Thomas Jones, when we had those other guys, we went to the freaking AFC Championship. So, you know, get that going a little bit, and I think the Jets could surprise a lot of teams because I think this team could win games. I think this team has the potential of winning games. But right now, I don't see it because of Adam Gase and all the things that we saw last year. I'm not very optimistic about that. So they could be they could be a very big surprise this year. But I say that almost every year that the Jets could be a surprise. But we're just gonna have to see.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is just a big year for Sam Darnold to prove his worth and prove that he is our franchise quarterback, because there's still some Jets fans who are not sold on him, which is okay. And I'm expecting Sam Darnold to make a huge leap. And the reason is because he's finally in the same system for the second straight year. This is his first time doing that. He's not have to worrying about learning a whole new playbook. Like when he got drafted in 2018, he had to learn Jeremy Bates' playbook, which is overwhelming as a rookie. And then his next year, year two, he has to learn Adam Gase's playbook, which is overwhelming. So now he is going to become an extension of the coaching staff. That's what Adam Gase said about Darnold. We want him to become another coach. And you see that. Sam Darnold said himself, he wants new guys on this Jets team, whether it's rookies or veterans, to come up to him and ask him questions like, all right, where should I be here? What should I do here? So Sam Darnold can really learn. And that's how a really good way to learn the offense if you're helping others. And that's what's I think, going to take Sam Darnold's game to the next level, is if he can become just understand the playbook like the back of his hand. Because I feel like the first year under Adam Gase last year, he was out there and probably subconsciously in his head, like, wait, what is this play? He doesn't know right away. So when that's just out of the way and he's so comfortable in the system, we're going to see a new Sam Darnold. And obviously there's other factors as well with the O-line and the play calling. But I think that this year we're going to see a completely different Sam Darnold. And I'm expecting him, if he plays all 16 games, which I really hope so, I think he'll improve in every single statistic like he did his rookie year to sophomore season. He had more touchdowns, less interceptions, more passing yards, a better rating, literally improved in every single category in a sophomore season. I'm expecting him to do the same thing in year three. And I don't know, did you see the One Jets Drive episode about Sam Darnold?
I was literally just about to speak about
that. Was the craziest episode they've ever created. Credit goes out to Jets 360 Productions. Whoever creates that, really, it should be on Netflix or HBO, because that's how great they are. They really know how to hype us up. They make Sam Darnold look like he is a Super Bowl MVP in the making, which he is. But no, like really hearing the perspective of his college coach, his high school coach, Jordan Palmer, his offseason coach, you really understand Sam Darnold, that him as a person, and like he's not fazed by the big moment at Rose Bowl when he had that game-winning touchdown to Deontay Burnett. Like he just meant for it, like he has the feel for him, the energy to be the guy that can elevate people around him. And I know that the rest of the NFL is looking at Sam Darnold as he's seeing ghosts and all this, and he's not good, but that's okay, because I really think that the best is yet to come for Sam, and his potential is through the roof, and we haven't even seen anything close. And I think what's going to make or break his career is consistency and decision making. That's really it. I think that, and if he has to clean up his footwork in the pocket, his fundamentals. But yeah, I can talk about Sam Darnold for so long. I actually just made a player profile on Sam Darnold on my YouTube channel. I talked about him for like 20 minutes. I gave my projected stats for him and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to go into too much about Sam Darnold. So that really does it for this episode of Low Media Sports Podcast. Me and Ali just want to jump on and give us the updates of training camp, the injuries, the press conferences, the drama. There's a lot of stuff to talk about Jets football, and we're really excited to bring you guys consistent episodes on this podcast, especially when the season starts. Expect us to have a podcast before every game, after every game, all that type of stuff. And we still want to have you fans on the show. We're going to have you guys can leave us voicemails, do Q&As, and even have some fans on the show, like I just said, to talk Jets football. We want to make this platform to get fans involved and give the fans voices, because me and Ali, we're just like you guys who are listening or watching this. We're just diehard Jets fans that know them like the back of our hand. We know you guys are the same way. You know the Jets just as much as us, so we want to bring you guys on here as well. So that does it for this episode. Ali, you want to say anything else before we finish off?
Just one more thing. When you saw the One Jets Drive, if you saw that, you heard Jordan Palmer talk about Sam Darnold, and what he said, one thing that stood out, when Sam Darnold speaks, everyone listens. He has that presence where when Sam Darnold talks, he listens. Everyone listens. The offensive line, the head coach. We've heard Le'Veon Bell said that when Sam Darnold has corrected Adam Gase a couple of times too. So everyone listens to Sam Darnold. So he has a respect. And I'm going to leave it off that, being like, this guy is the guy for the New York Jets. And this is the guy who's going to lead it. If honestly, when you were naming the stats, I was thinking about it a little bit. If he didn't have those about 3 games with like 4 or 5 interceptions, his interception rate would be completely low. If he can erase those big 4 or 5 interception games, he'll have perfect stats, and people are gonna be like, oh, he's fine. If he doesn't have those 2 games, if he didn't have the ghost game, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I just wanted to say that. It just came in my mind.
Of course.
But Sam Darnold is the guy, and I think we just got to be patient.
Exactly. Thank you guys for tuning in, and stay tuned next week. Have a great day.
Have a nice day, guys.